Do you ever get that feeling like you're meant for something more, but every day just kind of looks the same? That was me not too long ago. Genuinely convinced I was going to be an average Joe with no way out of the matrix. Until I made one decision. Not a resolution, not a promise I'd forget next week, but a real committed decision. And in the next 90 days that followed, while continuing to work my full-time job, I built this channel with over 2,000 subscribers, finished 2 certifications, and had brands reach out to me for product review. Yep. And for free. Yep, you heard that right. So you have more than 90 days left in this year, and let me be very clear. Time is not your problem. So let's discuss what the actual problems are. Either you run it on your own terms, intentionally, with a clear head, or life runs it on you at 2 a.m. when you just can't sleep, scrolling through someone else's highlights, wondering where all the time and life and years went. Choice is yours. The difference is that one of those leaves you with a plan, the other just leaves you with anxiety. So you pick. And let's do this. 3 questions, and I really want you to genuinely sit with these and not just skim through them. Number 1, where are you actually at right now? Number 2, where did you think you'd be by this point in the year? And number 3, what is genuinely blocking and coming in your way? Pause this video if you got to, but I really want you to sit and think about all this. Now, why the third one actually matters? Most people stop there because the honest answer is sometimes uncomfortable. It's a bitter pill to swallow. It's easy to blame time, circumstances, or bad luck, but when you actually sit down with all this, you'll usually realize and you'll understand the blocker is something that you can actually control. When I ran this on myself, I realized it wasn't time or talent. It was that I wasn't being intentional with a single hour of my day. And that was the biggest problem. Now, this isn't some random epiphany. This is hours of me reading self-help books and watching videos to kind of arrive at where and what kind of worked for me. So this is what I did. Blocked out 20 minutes, no phone, no distractions, well, at least as much as possible, and wrote these answers down. Not in my head, but on actual paper, pen to paper. I always say that. The act of writing forces you to be specific. I mean, I'm super old school that way. Anything that I think is important, anything that my mind registers to be important, I'm sitting and writing it down on paper. It's worked for me so far, but you do what you gotta do. Usually, vague answers give you vague outcomes, and that's not exactly where you wanna be. So try this out, get specific, and you already know more about your next 90 days than most people do about their entire year. And one of the things that genuinely helped me help me through the journey is, reduce the informational noise as much as you possibly can. And I use the word noise very purposely because the more you consume, it's also the more confused you get. And amongst the other nuggets that's coming up in the rest of the video, I want you to sit with this counterintuitive thought as best as you can, bringing us to part 2. Are you actually busy or are you just occupied? And this distinction is actually very important, more than you think. Being occupied means your hours are full, but being intentional means your hours are more pointed, skewed to the direction you want to run. You can fill every single day and still make zero progress on things that actually matter to you, because busy and productive are not the same thing. Trust me, they're not. Most people are running at full speed in the wrong direction and kind of wondering why they're not making any headway in things or at things they actually want to achieve. The intentionality check fixes this problem. At the end of every day, ask yourself this. Ask yourself one question. Did what I spent my time on today actually connect to where I'm trying to go? It's a very simple question to ask yourself. Do that. Write the answers down, and I'm a big proponent of writing things down. So write, not in your head, somewhere real. A note, a journal, your phone, it just doesn't matter. Write someplace. What matters is the act of writing forces you to be honest. You can lie to yourself in your head all day, but when you actually put pen to paper, when you actually write things down, it's actually harder to lie to yourself then. Trust me. Do this every night for 2 weeks and you will see exactly where your time is actually going. And it will probably surprise you more than you think. Trust me. And here's what happens. The first 30 days of truly committing, not dabbling, not meaning to do, gives you a feeling that is almost impossible to describe. It's momentum you can physically feel, something in your shifts, and once you feel it, you start protecting it instead of kind of wasting it. I can't give you that feeling over a screen. I think you genuinely have to earn it for yourself to feel that. But once you do it, it drives the next 60 days automatically on its own without you having to try too much. You don't want to believe me? You don't want to believe me? That's fine. Look at this. I'm going to show you the work that I did on, I'm usually scribbling all over the place, but this is my journal where I don't know if you can see clearly, but where I kind of write things down, put my thoughts to paper. Anything that I think is important is usually on this notebook. And this is my little way of showing intentionality and kind of figuring out if I'm doing the right things for the day to kind of push me in the direction that I need to go. I'm not telling you to do anything that I wouldn't personally do. So yeah, try it out. It actually helps. And so on to the next. You cannot navigate somewhere you haven't defined. And most people have never actually written down where they want to go or what they want to do with their lives or what their goals are. And ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear, we need direction. You don't shoot in the dark for a reason. And likewise, you don't run, plan, and fancy a video, to start embarking on a life-changing 90-day journey. No, this is not how it works. Let me be the martyr. Don't kid yourself. It's not gonna work. It ain't happening. So again, writing it down changes everything. There's a reason goals that live only in your head rarely get done. Your brain treats an unwritten goal the same way it treats a vague thought. It files it away and moves on. That's it. The moment you write it down though, it's something more real. It's something changes. It becomes a bigger commitment. It becomes more real. And research consistently backs this up. Don't take my word for it, but honestly, you don't need research. Just try it once and you will genuinely feel the difference. And here's how to do it right. Don't write, I want to be more productive. Don't be too ambitious with what you're writing. Write what your life looks like on day 91. Specifically, be as specific as you can. What have you finished? What have you launched? What habit have you decided to build for yourself? Make it so specific that you can almost imagine yourself there and you can measure it. Then, if building a vision board somehow helps you feel it visually, because that's a thing, do it. But honestly, the written goal comes first. A vision board without some sort of direction is just a pretty wall in my opinion. But again, do whatever floats your boat. Now on this whole, accountability thing, and this is the part most people I think genuinely misunderstand. I know it's an important thing to hold yourself accountable, but telling a friend, making a bet, paying penalties, all that stuff works for some people. But what really sticks to me is genuinely committing to yourself first, making the promise to the person you're going to become. If that's not done, none other will stick. I see tons of videos out there on accountability, driving productivity principles and all that good stuff. Well, I partially agree, but I think it only works partially. Like I said, in this Gen and era of social media, no one truly gives a hoot if you don't go through with what you're saying. Sure, they might talk about it, a day or two if you're something big, but beyond that, no one truly cares. And no one's going to hold your feet to the fire like yourself. Which is why I would kind of squint, I would squint when I hear this whole accountability drill external to, oneself. It just doesn't work beyond a point. Unless, of course, you're promising a product and you're not kind of seeing through that delivery of that product. If that's your thing, sure, that kind of accountability might work, I guess. But for the rest of us, I would say let's commit to, yourself before you can go out and scream to the world on what you will and will not become in the next 90 days. Well, this is just my 2 cents. Take it or leave it. So kind of reeling back, write down your 90-day goal, write it down somewhere. I mean, if writing it in some sort of public forum floats your boat, sure, by all means. Again, do what you gotta do. A post, a comment, a note, basically that you'll see daily. Something more real time, I guess. Somewhere hard to notice in your busy day. Just put it somewhere where you kind of see it all the time. Not because you need someone policing you, but because you need to keep imbibing and kind of reflecting on that thought out loud. Is how you basically prove to yourself that you really mean it this time and it's not just a nascent thought in your head. But drop it in the comments below if you want somehow to kind of, not for me, but because saying it out loud makes it more kind of real for you. So on to the next part. Your environment will always outlast your willpower. Always. This is not about discipline. Willpower is a finite resource. It depletes through the day every time you resist something, make a decision, or fight an urge. That's just how it works. So, if your environment is constantly putting friction between you and your goals, constantly tempting you, distracting you, making the wrong choices easier than the right ones, you will eventually kind of lose it. Not because you're weak or any of that, but just because you're human. That's how it works. The people who appear to have ironclad discipline usually just kind of rely on better systems and have better designed environments to be able to kind of go on autopilot. So, how to redesign your environment? Look at your physical space, your digital space, and honestly your schedule. Ask what is making the right choices harder than it needs to be, what is making the wrong choices easier to make. Then move it, remove it, or block it. Make good habits the path of least resistance and bad ones inconvenient. Small friction, believe me, small friction changes compound fast over 90 days. And the single biggest source of friction sitting almost in every environment right now, quietly destroying focus without most people even noticing. It's your phone. I guess you knew that was coming. And look, if you already know your phone is the problem, you're not alone. Believe me, you're not alone. Most of us know. The issue isn't really about awareness, because awareness alone doesn't really change behavior. Think about it. So why standard fixes don't work? The stereotypical standard fixes don't work for a reason. So your app limits, grayscale mode, leaving your phone in the other room, every single one of them is a willpower-based solution. And as we just talked about, willpower isn't something that you have unlimited supply of. You eventually run out. You override the app limit in 10 seconds, you adapt to grayscale mode over a week, and quite honestly, you can just walk to the other room and pick up your phone and get back to scrolling. It's not that much of an effort. So the problem isn't necessarily the app itself, but it's that the path back to them is super easy and it's just not good enough. This is when I found out about this product called Brick. Yep, it's this little physical device in my hand, just like this one, and it really does a lot of things. Just so you know, this isn't a sponsored video or anything of that sort, but they did send this out to me for kind of me to try it out and test it out. So a huge shout out to them. Do appreciate it. Thanks, guys. And here's sort of the breakdown, the rundown of what I think about the product. So Brick is a small physical device, and what you do is you tap your phone to it and the apps you've selected and chosen get sort of locked out. Not silenced, but locked out. The only way for you to get back onto them is to physically tap your phone back to this Brick again. And that one extra step, that physical step, sounds very small at first, but it's honestly the difference between mindless scrolling and automatic behavior to something more conscious and something that you choose to do. Most of your scrolling isn't a decision. Think about it. It's just what happens when your guard is down, and Brick sort of interrupts that at the source of it. You're kind of curbing that automatic behavior. So how it actually works day to day, and one of the features that kind of impressed me the most is that it's got this feature where you can auto schedule, wherein you set the Brick to lock your app at a specific time and a specific day, and it just happens. No willpower, no decision making, no tapping, none of it. It automatically kicks in when the time arrives. And the only way for you to unlock is you need the physical device in your hand. So you cannot kind of get away with, opening it through the phone again. So you need the Brick app, and that's just how it works. I've used this for about a month now, and it's the only thing that sort of worked for me and helped me kind of get through some of the goals that I've set out during the day. Your phones are standing between you and your 90-day goal. The product is linked in the description. You know what to do. Go check it out. It's genuinely changed the way I've started, treating my day. And let me know down in the comments if you kind of want me to go through a more detailed review of what the product is. Not the kind of video I usually make, but would be interesting for sure. So yeah, do check it out and let me know what your thoughts are if you already happen to have them. So on to the next part. Here's where you are. You have more than 90 days left in this year. You know how to audit yourself. You know how to audit where you actually stand. You know how to check if your time is intentional or just occupied for no good reason. You know how to write down where you're kind of going in a way, whether you're going in a way that actually sticks. And obviously, you also know why your environment, not only your discipline, is usually what breaks a goal before it has a smallest chance of survival. So the people who change aren't the ones who are kind of more talented or the one with more time. Not necessarily. They're the ones who've decided that the window in front of them was just good enough. And they kind of showed up every day thinking like that was true. So you have that window right now in front of you. The only question is whether you're going to use that window or not. It's just as simple as that. Because I can confidently, with 100% certainty, tell you that if in 90 days I can sit and turn things around, I don't see why you cannot. And it's just a matter of kind of taking that leap of faith. So drop your 90-day goal down in the comments, say it out loud, make it real, subscribe if you want to keep building, this kind of life. That's what this channel is all about. And I only consume to produce. Now go produce something and do your thing. Until next time.